EB DevTech workshop. We do these every Tuesday and Thursday from 11:30 to 12:30. Today we're an hour late.
Oops.
um,
Uh,
we I had someone call me and I just could not um,
Not answer.
not answer and not stay on the call. They
Yep.
they needed some. You guys know what I'm talking about. They needed some guidance, some help. And that's what we're all about here at EB DevTech is that when you need help, we're here to listen and try and help you through that situation and that problem. So this is our we're in the month of February. We're starting a new series. What's this series about?
So we thought of something in the word of growth. I think a lot of the messages that we're trying to portray are about shifting in mindset and just growing. There's going to be um, subjects just like the ones over there about software development pitfalls that we're going to cover today and their ROI, which is going to be next Thursday. Exciting times for the emerging technologies that exist and how they're going to be the governance and the risk management and what it's all the buzz about. Just like everyone is, we're gonna do our take on what do we think is going to be the future. So it's exciting. It's about growing. It's about exploring new opportunities for small businesses. And so welcome everyone.
Yeah. And again, this session is made for you. Although we do have a topic that we
Yeah.
have planned for. Again, you have a problem that needs to be solved right now, or you have an idea that you have on your mind right now. Put it in the chat. We can even invite you to be part of the show and share your camera if you'd like, and we can have make this a conversation. But again, the only reason we have these topics apart from Laura having so much fun making these presentations. Look how beautiful that is.
Look
Um,
look at that. If you press on that other end, then you will see the colors of EB DevTech. You go to the next slide. Ah, look at that.
Beautiful, beautiful. so so although Laura's made a beautiful presentation for us today, what's more important is that you guys get the value from us being here live, right? Of us taking the
Mhm.
time away from our busy schedules to look at to help the community and to help any way that you guys um, need us, right? If it's an idea, if it's a problem, if it's your keyboard's acting up from time to time, um, we'll make that a priority on top of our topic, right? Because what's more important is helping you guys, and that's all we stand about, and that's all we are about here at EB DevTech. And so we apply that into everything that we do. So if there's anybody out there that needs technical help or wants to talk through some crazy idea about AI, or they have a really good idea that they just don't know from a technology perspective how to make it come to life, um, talk in the chat. Let us know. Send us an email. Um, Send us a direct message on all of our socials. We're here. We're here to help any way we can. Because why? Because our goal and our vision is to make the world a better place, one solution at a time. So that's what we do. All right. So
I wanted to also voice out that you just made our guaranteed how do you call it when you're put on that very spot of a high accountability, and you made our guarantee practically possible because you responded to someone's request within the guarantee of the time frame, right?
exactly,
So that's what we do.
exactly. Our guarantee is that you call us, and within an hour we should be calling you back of how, if then, if it's not immediate, we're striving for immediate, but we all have lives and things to do, right? And we all got to
Correct.
go to the restroom at some point. So
Yes.
um, so we really just strive to really help as soon as we can, and that's what we do. Sorry, guys, I'm just writing up some changes here. Give me 1 second. It also gives you guys a chance to ask any questions. All right.
All right.
There we go. All right, so we're good to go. Again, this is for you guys. So let's talk tech. And I feel like we should take a screenshot of this and put it somewhere on our website, just as it is.
Mm,
Um, but yeah,
okay.
so our vision is to make the world a better place, one solution at a time, right? We were all born into this puzzle, and we're all just trying to figure it out. In the previous series, we talked about computer systems and how to manage that infrastructure. There's a software understanding gap. And then we talked a little bit about cybersecurity. In this week's session, we're going to talk about Today, we're going to talk about the stages of the software development cycle and some of the pitfalls. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about scalability and speed.
Oh no, the ROI. The ROI will
Oh,
be
that's
what we'll
oh
talk.
next
Yeah,
week.
we're
Okay, so
gonna
we're
cover
talking.
scalability today.
Oh,
Hopefully,
understood.
we can cover that
Perfect. And then ROI of smart development, and then reducing tech debt on
on
Thursday.
Thursday. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Got it. And so the software development life cycle. If you're in college, you're starting to learn this. And that's literally why you have projects, is because they're trying to get you to be accustomed to this process. Um, if you're in, if you're a software engineer, um, you work in one of these buckets, depending on where you are in your career. You might work in designing, or you might be working in building or in testing. And then if you're further along in your career, you would be able to do all of these things. Or you have a really good understanding of all of these things, and you're able to direct a team that is um,
A
able to
lot
do
of
all
this
of these.
planning. Mm.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so yeah, so what is it, right? So you got a planning, defining, designing, building, and testing, and then the deployment, right? So you're planning, everybody knows about that. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Who's going to do it? Um, and what are the goals? When are we going to do it? And where are we going to do it? So planning are the 5 W's. Then you have defining, which is okay, we know how we're going to do it at a high level, but how are we really going to do it in detail, right? So that's where you start filling in the outlines.
There's a lot of process building in this stage, and I guess a lot of these, like I just told you at the beginning, like offline, I told you these are a lot of buzzwords. They are. There's a lot of theoretical
Yeah, and that's what they
knowledge
are.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all just words, right? Because every project is different. I
Yep.
mean, as long, the software development cycle is relatively the same, but
Mm-hmm.
if you want to make something that is different, that is unique, that is no one's ever done before, there's a reason no one's done it before. And
Yep.
so the
I
actual,
like I
yeah, go
like how
ahead.
you say high level,
Yes.
because that's where you start. Like you're going to whatever your field that you're in. there's probably going to be a vast of interest in which you're just nailing toward your attention, and that's your high level stuff. But then all this nitty gritty, and how do you do the design part? I think this is where your eyes just go like,
Yeah,
Eric.
and I would actually kind of replace this. You can replace with a project life cycle,
Yeah,
project management life cycle, right?
yeah, exactly.
As well. So, um, and so that's why I'm really intimate with this, because I started out as an analyst, right, more on the defining side. But then there was no one to design and to build it. So then I was like, well, I know what needs to be done. I've never done that before as an analyst. And then I went into the designing portion of like, okay, well, if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And so started designing and coming up with, okay, how would we build it, and researching how we would do it. Um, and then since I've already gotten that far, I might as well just build it.
Exactly.
And then once you build it, it's like, okay, well, I got to go let the people use it. So how do I get the people to use it? And that's when you start
Mm-hmm.
deploying. So I did this from a very raw nature, and then I was learning and doing at the same time. I
What is
didn't.
there? Is there another way to learn? I don't think so.
It's the best way to learn, right?
It
But
is the best way to learn,
yeah,
right?
I had a project to do. I needed to. Everybody wanted it to happen. I saw the
Mm-hmm.
value that it would provide the organization, and then we just started doing these things, right? I just started doing it, and then turned into a systems engineer, turned into a project manager, and then now we understand a lot of this stuff. And now we have other project managers and we have other engineers that are also, we're all part of this system in some form of way,
Yes.
of this life cycle. That's why it is a life cycle. So if we're in this industry, we affect this life cycle. Even if you're not part of the planning, you're the stakeholder, right? Or you're the financier as to how all this is going to be done. So, um, every organization affects this life cycle.
Yep.
If you're going to have some form of development. So yeah, this is it.
This is it.
Now,
Whoa.
Laura likes to be negative and talk about all the bad stuff about this stuff.
I like
Uh,
to be. I thought that you and I were realists.
yeah, we are very real. Um, so look, everybody always talks about the good stuff. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and so the good stuff is the good stuff. We're good at that, right?
Theory.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's the theory, and
Yeah.
how close can you get to that theory, right? How close can you mimic
Mm-hmm.
the theory and run that life cycle as perfect as possible. Um, it's impossible, right? We all hear that it's impossible to be perfect and to make something 100% perfect. Um, we can get really close, and the
Mm-hmm.
way you can get really close is by understanding what you're bad at, and these are the common things that are a lot of people that manage the the life cycle are bad at. A lot of people over rely on their tools, right? A lot of people neglect the fundamentals, right? You just, oh, why did this go wrong? I've never had this go wrong before. And it's like, well, did you get overconfident? Did you get cocky? And did you just skip an entire step that you've always done? And we're all guilty of these things. Well, you didn't do that. Well, that's why that happened, right? That's why
Mm-hmm.
you did have um, you did have to troubleshoot, or something did go wrong and you did have a problem, right? So you have to take ownership and accountability for the things and the consequences of the things that you don't do.
Yep.
Um,
A lot of these examples are within the realm of adopting something that is popular sometimes, like even just following a trend, like we didn't cover that as a trend specifically, but it's almost like not evaluating what are going to be your future trade-offs. So it, I like how there are two different mentalities. Also, while doing this research, there are people that are going to be always by the book, which is great, but it's not going to give you the most successful, I guess, return of investment when it comes to all of the resources they use to do that. And in reality, that's not how it happens. It's like, especially for small businesses. So I like that.
Exactly.
Take in consideration.
Absolutely. On top of the trends, it's like it is hard in the technology to be up to date with all of the trends and all of the
Yes,
tools.
totally.
So you need a team. You need others to take off that load, and if you have a cybersecurity person that you trust that they're keeping up with those trends and with those tools, if you have an AI person, you're keeping up with those trends and those tools. Um, and and so yeah, I mean, you there is a reliance that needs to technology is just us building tools, right? So there is a reliance on tools. Um, and we do need to have some form of sight on the trends, especially the bad trends, right? If someone got hacked, well, why did they get hacked? Am I using that system too, right? Am I affected by
Mm-hmm.
what those? So not necessarily that trends and tools are bad. It's just we're gonna get up to we're gonna talk about balancing later, but it goes into that. So
Mm-hmm.
and also a lot of these take time, and so you want to take the right amount of time into those steps, right? You want to you, sh- there's not enough planning that will get you ready for the
Mm-hmm.
project unless it's something that you've already done before, like building that model of a house, right? You've
Mm-hmm.
already done it. The only thing you can do is just build it faster and cheaper without losing quality. Um, and so that's kind of the tools there, is that all of these you want to do um, just well. You want to do it good, and you want to do it right. Um, and perfect is the goal. Um, and so you want to make sure you spend a perfect amount of time on each of these steps, which is always
Mm-hmm.
just a spectrum and a gauge.
Yes.
Neglect of a fundamentals, um, right? Again, don't skip a step. You want to make sure you do all of the steps, because the steps are what kind of keep you on track, and make sure that you're doing the right thing. Because if you do
Mm-hmm.
skip a step, you could be missing a really core portion of your project, and so you want to make sure you don't skip that. But yeah, then because if you have something that's core, you're going to spend more time trying to figure out how to integrate it back into the project. Misalignment of communication issues. I would say that that's one of the bigger things, because humans don't necessarily know how to communicate well enough on their own, and so um,
Oh wow, and
constant communication.
this is a hot topic because in terms of, I mean, we're talking about misalignment of objective and miscommunications. That is like, okay, did we define the process in which we're going to be doing that? So that's actually over there. It was over there in planning, and then we got cultural issues.
Yeah,
So that's kind of, it is not necessarily going to give a, I mean, your sense of agility, which is what this whole concept of agile, like plan, do, review, improve kind of cycle is, for everyone to just, be doing any type of project. Like your concept of agile, right? Agile,
yeah,
ágil,
yes,
is different than mine. Is, and you could be good at something that I am completely bad at. So this whole culture thing is a biggest. I did kind of like a mix because I couldn't really put it, but it's kind of like one of the big pitfalls.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like there's a spin on the word agile now, because it's not
True.
it's not even that agile, in most corporate settings. Um, but I do think that the way that it was meant, what agile is meant to be, is flexible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is on your feet, on the ground, like really taking into account everybody's strengths, everybody's weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
and look, I'll take that from you, but you take this from me, and that's agile,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Wow.
Like that's agile.
And oh, do you feel like now it's just become this, oh, like they just have to run it by this? Yeah, have you seen that meme where
Yeah,
everyone is in a plank
I
and it's
mean,
like, okay, we're gonna be doing this sprint in less than 1 minute to see if you can actually do it. So I
yeah,
don't think that that's
and so now they're
given the real value.
no, they're focused on the meetings. They're focused on, they're that's what the focus is on making sure, how can I make this meeting the most agile, the fastest it could. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, if you have a good team and all the team understands everybody's skills, everybody's strengths, everybody's weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
then when you do meet, it's like, hey, I know what you're doing, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing. um, we're looking at what the objective is with
Yep.
the scrum master and with the product manager, and okay, hey, here's the objective. They shouldn't be asking me who, or asking the team who's going to do what. The
Yep.
team is going to say, hey, I'm going to do this part, and and everybody's taking their strengths, right?
Yep.
And then
Mm-hmm.
whatever's left as a weakness, then that's the most important part we got to talk about. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we should be spending time talking about as a team, instead of trying to, if we have a great team, everybody's going to take what they're good at, and whatever's left remaining is like, as a project manager, product manager, or just the leader of that team, is okay, well, now this is the piece I got to identify the most. And I got to analyze this as to, okay, how do I need to cut this, either to make it smaller, or do we need external help? Do we need an expert? Do we need to bring someone else into the team?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
That's
so
true
that's,
agile. Yep.
yeah, I think that's true agile, where
Mm-hmm.
okay, everybody's some form of expert, everybody has a role on the team, and then you, as the leader or product manager or project manager, you come present it, and you organized everything in a way, and then you come present it, and everybody takes their piece,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever's remaining, you pick it up and you make sure that it gets done, somehow, some way. And so that's what I feel like, from agility, from is if your team isn't operating in some form of fashion like that, um, it we just it there's a room for improvement.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something going on that is not necessarily effective. That people realize, obviously, at some point uh, they fall, right? Because
Yeah,
it does create kind of like an error, and so the error, and then you do what's the post-mortem is the
exactly.
you realize what happened. So
Well, and we put these again, right? We got to put it in a word that everybody can understand.
yeah,
But a post mortem can just be what happened and why did it go wrong,
yeah.
and then just you can just record it or put it in a transcription, and now with AI you can put it into whatever your post-mortem structure is.
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's like, you have once you have the conversation and you have the right people in there with the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and and they're really good communicators, they will tell you what's wrong, why it went
Exactly.
wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
what we should do to move things forward. Like, what do we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and
So
and
at
that's the
least one
conversation.
needs to communicate.
Yeah,
One needs to be able to verbalize what you just did. It's like what Alvin does for me.
exactly, exactly.
Thank you, Alvin.
And and a lot of teams, you say, okay, well, let's do a post-mortem. Why did this happen?
Hmm.
And there's like a long pause of who's going to answer first. It's like,
Hmm. Yep.
that shouldn't happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
they should have, if it was a team, the person to fix it should have opened their mouth and said, hey, here's how I fixed it, here's why I had to fix it, um, and kind of go from there.
Wow. Yeah, I see how everything can go wrong right here. But there are also other pitfalls.
Yeah, and the non-functional requirements are always important. Like, if the system needs to send, needs to be able to be used by 500 people,
Hmm.
that needs to be part of the architecture and the conversation early on, as to how are you going to be able to sustain all of those people, or the number of transactions, or um, the non-functional requirements are really important. um, if it has to send, you have to paper mail something that comes from a digital platform. Well, is the report going to be set up and formatted in a way so that you can use an 8 by 11 paper to
Hmm.
print it out nicely, so that the paper version is going to look nice, right?
Yep,
um,
exactly.
so that that's where the, if you get those problems, that's where you have a lot of rework.
And that was a attention to detail, really, because how else would you know? Where is this lead to? And yeah, that's a great example. And a lot of them are literally from the user. The
Yeah,
user has to tell you that, so you had to do your digging first.
exactly. And we've had clients who have had other experience with other technology companies where they've done some buildings for them, where it's like, they did exactly what I told them, which is, I wanted an I wanted a car with an engine, but they forgot the doors, they forgot the windows, they forgot the rims, they forgot the wheels. And so I just got this bare chassis with an engine, and it works. That's exactly what I asked them for. Um, but what I wanted was was a
Oops.
2022 Toyota Corolla, you know?
Yeah.
And that's very important. That's making sure you have the
Yep.
right framework and the right planning.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then it talks about tooling and environment issues, overly complex configuration process. It's like, yeah, like, what is it that you want? Let me write it down. Let me explain it back to you so that we're
Mm-hmm.
on the same page. And then also how you communicate that, and what imagery you put. Like, everything matters. The pictures that you put on presentation matters. Everything creates a perspective, especially if they're trusting you to build. They don't, number one, they don't understand how you build this technology, or what you're doing. And so everything that you're doing this to present this to non-technical folks, who you most of the times are the ones that want to get the value
Mm-hmm.
out
Yep.
of this, everything matters. You have to make sure that you provide all of the details, even paint them a picture if you have to, or create a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important.
Yep. I feel like developers do this in a very creative way, because as soon, well, if the developer does a really good job, they are innovating in their way to communicate the user on how to portray this. But yes, the tools are a big mix of a lot of software things that I don't understand completely.
Yeah. And this, I love that you put this in here because the frame, like a life cycle is just a type of framework, it's a methodology, it's a theory.
Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
takes so much. Not only does it take so much to understand it in its entirety, but
Mhm.
to be able to execute inside of it, it takes a lot
Mhm.
of effort as well. And then to get people to follow
Mhm.
and to do it as well, it takes a lot of effort, and to manage those people to do it well.
Mhm.
And then for them to have the right attitude
Yep.
around the framework. So there's a lot of
Mhm.
effort, not only physically but
Yeah. A lot of
emotionally.
energy.
A lot of energy that it takes to
Mhm.
make these things happen.
Yep.
Um, and sometimes the only thing that matters is everybody on your team having the right mindset.
That's, I mean, it just sounds super, super simple, but it's completely like, it takes a lot of energy. I hate to just always blame it on the attitude, but everything is about attitude. Everything, every single thing. Remember when we did that analogy about how the system works and how we're just kind of portraying everything that already exists in a physical world into this other world that we're living in, the technology? I feel like this is the exact same thing you said.
Yeah, I mean, we have these problems too. I mean, we have meetings that are atrocious.
Yeah. We
And
scored them, just so everybody knows. We
yeah,
scored the meeting at the end, which was a
yeah.
great idea, Eric.
I'm always the one that's tanking our averages because I, number one, I hate meetings and I hate that we have to do them, but it's
You're so
important because we have to be
bad.
aligned, right?
Yep.
We all got to get aligned and make sure that we're focused on what our goals are and stuff like that. I would rather be, working towards them, and I want someone to report to me, hey, this is how we're doing, and while we're still, like, everybody's just stuck in action, but it's
Mm-hmm.
important that we slow down, take a look at how everybody's doing, um, and a lot of what I've from our meetings, it's been more like, is there anything that anybody needs help with, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
Are you spending too much time spinning the wheels? What are the problems? We spend a lot of our leadership meetings mainly talking about, like, where are the problems, and how can we help, and
Mm-hmm.
um, why isn't that done yet, and not in like why isn't that done yet, but like, is there is there anything that we can do to help accelerate that? Is this something that we know, that might help the situation from our experience? um, and I think that's a key differentiator. I mean,
Yep.
that's having a team, right?
Mm-hmm. That's how you create value in your processes so that clients do notice at the end of the day, how do you process their, their incoming requirements. So I love this word. Everybody's looking for balance, right?
Yes, yes. And
Yep.
so how do you do that? And a lot of people look at this, and it is, how fast versus how flexible, right? Because there's already books on how to do it, right? There's already a
Mm-hmm.
framework as to what, you can probably Google to how to do exactly what you're looking for. And there's a book or a framework that you can follow step by step, and just all you have to do is just do it. And the only thing that
Mm-hmm.
matters now is, it could be speed, right? How fast do I need to get this done? But what you lack by following those frameworks is that you're not so flexible, right? You're following step by step something that has already been defined. And so you get that one rigid thing. You get that thing that when you're done, you get what you got, you get what's in the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
but
maybe
life
your
isn't
idea,
isn't
yeah,
by the book, right?
exactly. Maybe the only reason you read the book is because you wanted to use that knowledge and go this way in this direction, right? And so that's where flexibility needs to come, and a lot of experience comes into this, right? Because the more experienced you are, the better you can flip flop between speed and flexibility,
Mm-hmm.
um, and awareness, right? Awareness of the tools, of the frameworks, and stuff like that. So that comes with experience as well. Um, so how do you balance? By experience.
Yep.
That's really the real answer. But um, or asking for help, or asking, the way you balance is really, if you don't know, if you're not experienced
Mm-hmm.
enough, is finding someone that
Oh,
is
you have to go
experienced.
to the next slide. I think it's the next. Because then it says, oh, no, 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 no. It's the other one. But I was going to say, yes, you do you.
Yeah, you do you.
Exactly. This is a selling point for DevTech, as there, why not outsource your IT in order for them to be, at the critical point of always be falling forward on all of the trends, right? So that's why you do that for a small
Yeah,
business.
and you can focus on you being you, right? You do you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Focus on the things that are important to you today, on being creative, on reading and researching the experience that you're needing to do, and then leveraging our experience, right? Of, hey, I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And when we, from a technology perspective, we got you, right? If we don't know, we start asking. We have a network of professionals
Mm-hmm.
that we start to talk to, and try to talk to, and bring into the problem, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing, and that we're providing value, and that's the core of what we do. And that's what we everybody said. A lot of my friends are like, okay, what's your elevator pitch? And I'm like, do you have a problem? And they're like, not
Who
right
doesn't?
now. They're like, not right now. um, and I'm like, no, no, but okay, well, when you have a problem, come talk to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then they're like, what does that mean? I'm like, I'm in the business of providing solutions. So if you have a problem, you come to me, I'll fix it. Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, we'll have a solution. um, and it's very cliche. The very long-winded speech of this is that we're a technology company, that we do all of the umbrella of technology, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure, whether that's software development, whether that's AI solutions, and cybersecurity. Um, we provide those services. If it has
Yep.
to do with technology, we tailor it to your business. Um, we're a bunch of nerds, as everybody keeps saying, that I say a lot, is that we're a bunch of nerds, um, who have all of this knowledge that we've attained through experience and through reading, and making sure that we're knowing what the methodologies, and trying to perform them the most perfect as possible. That we've gained so much experience that now, um, we feel very confident in helping, other companies, smaller medium-sized companies, not have to, you know spend so much on, an IT, and so we're more decentralizing that IT environment. So, how can businesses achieve scalability and flexibility? The fancy word is
What we
infrastructure.
provide. This is what we
Infrastructure
provide.
management services. So, you want scalable cloud based services. You want to make sure you have the ability to automate some workflows wherever that's possible. And then you want redundancy and high availability, right? You if you only got 52 weeks a year, 280 hours. And if something is down for 10 hours, that's a percentage of your business that wasn't
Correct.
producing.
Mm-hmm.
So That's where redundancy and high availability comes into play. Scalability plays into that as well. They're correlated. Um, but and then automated workflows is just trying to get as much time back as possible from those manual workloads. So yeah, that's how you achieve scalability.
Yep.
You do you.
We do us.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of our, there's a certain point in your business's life cycle where you will need to have your own IT department, and you will need to have someone on staff to do that. And we actually nurture clients into that, and um, we help them hire those folks as well onto their team. Um, and then there's some clients who just have you just have that leader, that one man show for the entire infrastructure. And so now they go from being a one person show to now having an entire team behind them that's there to support them whenever they need it, 24/7. And so it's not, you're not giving away the IT management. Like, you're still managing it. It's still your IT. It's still your technology. Um, it's that you just feel so much more confident that you have a team that, like I was mentioning about teams before, that you just come over to, you come present your project to us, and we all take our part, and, and we help you figure out those pieces that are left after we take our part. And we create plans around that, and we help you grow from that perspective, all at a fractional of a cost where you don't have to hire, an entire IT team, which could be very expensive depending
Yep.
on where your business is. All right. So, closing thoughts. How can we prepare for the long term? Um,
Mhm.
you really need to understand the frameworks and your methodologies and your life cycles. Um, you need to make sure you don't skip steps. You need to make sure that you have the right mindset, culture, communication style with your team. You need to know what everybody on your team's strengths and weaknesses are, and everybody needs to be comfortable in being vulnerable with that as well, um, because you're going to have your teams back as well, right? So if they're not able to deliver on some things, the only thing that matters is getting the project across the finish line. And if you have to carry a team member to do so, then you do so, and you figure out why that happened, when you get a chance to put them down, right, and be like, hey, why are you okay? What do I have to do, right? So very important, very important. Um, every solution is different. You want to make it fun. You want to make sure you're not talking from, you're not assuming anything,
Mhm.
and you want to make sure that it's a practical solution.
Yep.
So no one can solve anything alone. Everybody must collaborate.
You
And
Eric, you mentioned something, like a word that I really like, which was the awareness and the vulnerability. I don't think I did put that, but everything just comes from that, from being aware that something can fail. So that was a really good statement, and recognizing all of this comes from. I mean, vulnerability doesn't come from that, but it comes from being in that humble state of mind that allows you to just do, okay, this is where it can go wrong, because that's the vulnerability right there. So,
yeah, from my point of view, it's being real, right? It's just, this is
yes.
where we all are. We're all on this planet together. We're all just trying to breathe, and eat and drink water and go to the restroom. So, you know,
Exactly.
we're all humans. And so just treat everybody as one, as a human. Everybody's a different version of you, you know,
Yeah,
and
with the
just
different there's the circumstances. I like how this is a trend right now because February is on and we are in this month of love. So thank you
love,
for
love,
sharing
love,
that.
love, love. Yeah. And you worded here perfectly. The best teams
Mm,
aren't the ones that avoid problems. They're the ones that
yeah,
recognize them early on and take action.
yeah.
They take action. You have a really high producing team, everyone on that team takes action. And if there's a problem, they put in the action to resolve it as
Hmm.
soon as possible.
Yeah, or at least to identify it. Yeah, I used to be in this team where everybody was aware of something. And I was like, how come nobody told me? But it's like, okay, how is this not important to anyone else? But things happens like that. Teams get improved as they get encouraged to step
Exactly.
up. Yeah.
And that's I was talking to a colleague and mentor of mine, and we were talking about how like it's been pretty hard to develop a good team, and and I and I told him, like, have you been demanding excellence, right? Because you, as a leader, you want your team to operate smoothly and you want them, but sometimes you just need to demand it, right? Like, hey, you're not showing up today. Are you going to show up today or not? And sometimes that's what's going to wake them up. Like, what am I
Hmm.
doing? Like, why am I behaving? Because sometimes we are in our heads and we're not aware of what's going on with ourselves, and how we're being perceived in the real world. So I I check myself all the time. It's like, am I demanding excellence? Am I providing excellence? Right? Am I doing? Um,
Hmm.
because
Yep.
we can. It's very easy to. Everybody's bare minimum is different, and
Hmm.
their mediocrity is different, and so and you're your hardest critic, right? So there's nothing that you can ever think that you do perfect. So
Yep.
it's it's you gotta demand it. You gotta demand excellence sometimes, um, and that's what we do
Very
every
well
day.
said. Very well said.
All right. So the next time we're going to talk about ROI into smart development, and then reducing tech debt before it costs you money.
Yep.
People
It's
think that,
getting
oh, I'm just
real.
going to pay for this software, but no, you forgot the hosting, you forgot the domain name, you forgot the bandwidth,
Such and such.
the
Yep.
security. Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So I am working on this blog post. It's going to be like a big um, theme. It's actually like I have some sort of a structure right now. Is It has a theme. The theme is the pitfall. It has some ideas of how those pitfalls look like, and then it has the impact, just like the little framework that I showed you, but way more than that. And I'm doing way more research on what these other recurrent issues that I found for. Um, that there are some terms that I need help with.
We
Probably
got you.
gonna ask the team for that. So,
We got it.
um, yeah, we got it.
All right.
Yep.
If you have any questions,
Did
send them
we
to
check
us.
any questions? So we were just on to ourselves right now.
I don't see any.
You didn't see any. Well, this was a space again made for you, and I really hope that you can either visit our website, do our sales inquiry if that's your thing. Since I read some stats about people not receiving calls and not answering calls, and I think we're just merging into a new trend, right? We're behaving differently now and things like that. But you can just I guess email us if that's your thing. So anything, it could work.
Yep.
Just send it to us.
Yeah, and don't
Okay.
forget to follow us, to like our videos on
Thank you.
YouTube. We're on Twitch as well. So if you want to be a subscriber on Twitch as well, we follow you. We do this every Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we're really trying to grow this community. So, yeah, if you like what we talked about today and provided you any value, please support us by giving us a like and a follow.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Goodbye.
I gotta pee.
You have to be, I'm starving. Okay.
Anda, ¿qué vas a comer?